Most people believe eating anything before bed destroys your metabolism. But what if there was one thing you could take at night that doesn't raise blood sugar, doesn't trigger insulin, and doesn't turn into fat, yet actually improves digestion, reduces inflammation, strengthens immunity, and helps your body repair itself while you sleep? Tonight you're about to learn why this overlooked food works because your body doesn't digest it, and how it can quietly transform your health overnight. For decades, we've been told a simple rule: don't eat at night. The logic sounds convincing. Food before bed supposedly slows metabolism, spikes blood sugar, and gets stored directly as fat. While this advice sounds reasonable on the surface, it's incomplete. The human body doesn't shut down at night, it switches modes. And during sleep, your metabolism, hormones, immune system, and nervous system follow a very different set of rules. Understanding those rules reveals why one specific substance works better at night than during the day. The key is that this isn't a typical food. It doesn't behave like protein, carbohydrates, or fats. Your body doesn't digest it. It doesn't get absorbed into your bloodstream. It doesn't raise insulin or blood sugar. Instead, it travels through your digestive system almost completely intact. And that unusual characteristic is exactly what makes it so powerful. What you're about to learn challenges nearly everything people assume about eating, digestion, and nighttime metabolism. The substance we're talking about is unmodified potato starch, also known as resistant starch. Despite the name, this has nothing to do with junk food or refined carbs. Resistant starch is called resistant because your digestive enzymes cannot break it down. Instead of feeding you, it feeds something far more important: your gut microbiome. And what happens next determines inflammation levels, insulin sensitivity, immune balance, and even how deeply you sleep. Most people have never been taught how to use resistant starch correctly. In fact, many people have eaten potato starch their entire lives without realizing its potential, because once it's heated, cooked, or processed, its benefits disappear. That's why timing, preparation, and form matter tremendously. Used correctly, resistant starch becomes a biological signal, not a calorie source. And that signal reaches systems in your body most people never connect to digestion. To understand why this works, you need to understand what happens after resistant starch enters your body. When you swallow it, it passes through the stomach untouched. Digestive acids don't break it down. It continues through the small intestine without releasing glucose, without raising insulin, and without triggering fat storage. This alone makes it unique. But the real transformation begins when it reaches the large intestine. Your large intestine is home to trillions of microorganisms, bacteria that are metabolically active, intelligent, and deeply connected to your health. These bacteria aren't just passive residents. They communicate with your immune system, your liver, your brain, and your hormones. When resistant starch arrives, specific beneficial bacteria begin to ferment it. And that fermentation process produces compounds that act like master regulators throughout your body. The most important of these compounds is called butyrate. Butyrate is a short-chain fatty acid, and it plays a foundational role in human health. One of its primary jobs is strengthening the gut lining. A strong gut barrier prevents inflammatory particles from leaking into the bloodstream. When that barrier is weak, inflammation spreads system-wide. When it's strong, inflammation drops naturally, without medication or suppression. As inflammation decreases, many people begin noticing changes that seem unrelated to digestion. Joint stiffness eases, muscle soreness improves, brain fog clears. Mood becomes more stable, energy becomes steadier throughout the day. Digestion becomes smoother, with less bloating and discomfort. These changes aren't random, they're downstream effects of reduced systemic inflammation, all starting in the gut. But butyrate does more than protect the gut lining. It also directly improves how your cells respond to insulin. Insulin resistance sits at the root of stubborn weight gain, fatigue, blood sugar swings, poor circulation, accelerated aging, and difficulty losing fat even with clean eating. When insulin signaling improves, your body becomes more efficient at using fuel instead of storing it. As insulin sensitivity improves, cravings often decrease, especially late-night cravings. Appetite becomes easier to control. Blood sugar stabilizes overnight, leading to better morning energy and fewer crashes throughout the day. This is one reason resistant starch works so well when taken before bed. The timing aligns perfectly with your body's natural hormonal rhythm. At night, your body shifts into repair mode. Growth hormone rises. Cortisol begins to fall. Insulin levels are naturally lower. During this window, feeding your gut bacteria sends powerful metabolic signals that influence how your body repairs itself while you sleep. This is why so many people report deeper sleep, fewer nighttime awakenings, and waking up feeling genuinely refreshed. Better sleep isn't just about rest, it's about regulation. When your nervous system calms, digestion improves. When digestion improves, inflammation decreases. When inflammation decreases, recovery accelerates. Over time, people often notice improved bowel regularity, reduced gut discomfort, and a calmer baseline emotional state. These changes build gradually, but they compound. There's also a significant immune benefit. Nearly 70% of your immune system resides in your gut. When beneficial bacteria are properly nourished, immune responses become more balanced. This doesn't mean stimulating immunity, it means regulating it. Fewer exaggerated inflammatory reactions. Better resilience to stress. Improved recovery from physical and emotional strain. One of the most surprising aspects of resistant starch is its accessibility. This is not a supplement. It's not proprietary. You can find it in a regular grocery store. Most often, it's located in the baking aisle, gluten-free section, or natural foods area. Online, it's labeled simply as unmodified potato starch. That wording matters. When checking the ingredients, it should say only one thing: potato starch, not potato flour, not modified starch, not instant or pre-cooked. If it says modified, heated, or refined, it loses its resistant properties. This simplicity is also why it's inexpensive. Your body doesn't absorb it, so a small amount lasts a very long time. Many people are surprised to learn that potato starch is commonly used for cooking, thickening sauces, baking, and crisping foods. But once it's heated, its resistant starch structure breaks down. For health purposes, it must be used cold and unmodified. Heat destroys the very quality that makes it beneficial. Using it correctly is simple. You start small, just 1 teaspoon. Mix it into cold water, never hot. Take it 1 to 2 hours before bed. More is not better. This isn't about force, it's about signaling. If someone is sensitive or prone to bloating, starting with half a teaspoon allows the gut bacteria time to adapt. When gut bacteria change, they need time. Introducing resistant starch too quickly can cause temporary gas or bloating, not because it's harmful, but because bacterial populations are shifting. Going slowly allows your system to recalibrate smoothly. Patience here leads to better long-term results. Some people notice changes within just a few days. Less nighttime hunger. Smoother digestion. More regular bowel movements. Deeper, more restorative sleep. A general sense of calm throughout the body. These early changes are signs that fermentation is occurring and beneficial compounds are being produced. Over 1 to 2 weeks, deeper benefits often appear. Reduced bloating. Less inflammation. Fewer cravings. More stable morning blood sugar. Improved energy and focus. Better recovery from chronic stress or physical strain. Many people describe it as their body finally working with them instead of against them. This is not a stimulant. It's not a quick fix. It doesn't force the body into action. Instead, it sends a biological message. A message to gut bacteria to produce compounds that regulate inflammation, improve insulin sensitivity, balance immune responses, and calm the nervous system all while you sleep. Some of the most powerful health changes don't come from what your body digests, but from what it listens to overnight. Resistant starch works quietly behind the scenes, influencing systems that control energy, metabolism, immunity, and repair. And when used consistently, those signals add up. This is why timing matters. Nighttime isn't a metabolic dead zone, it's a repair window. Feeding the right signals during that window can change how you feel the next day, the next week, and over time, the trajectory of your health. And it starts with something most people overlook completely. Now that you understand how resistant starch works inside the body, the next question becomes obvious: who benefits the most from it? The short answer is far more people than you might expect. Because resistant starch doesn't act like a drug or stimulant. Its effects depend on the state of your metabolism, gut health, and nervous system. This makes it especially helpful for people whose systems have become stressed, inflamed, or resistant over time. One group that often benefits significantly is people struggling with insulin resistance. This includes individuals who feel tired after meals, experience frequent sugar cravings, or have difficulty losing weight despite eating reasonably well. Because resistant starch improves insulin signaling indirectly through gut bacteria, and butyrate production. It helps restore balance without forcing blood sugar changes. Another group that often sees improvements includes people with digestive irregularity. Constipation, bloating, inconsistent bowel movements, and gut discomfort are frequently signs that beneficial bacteria are undernourished. Resistant starch selectively feeds these microbes, helping restore rhythm and predictability to digestion over time. People dealing with chronic low-grade inflammation also tend to respond well. This includes individuals with joint stiffness, muscle soreness, frequent aches, or brain fog. When the gut barrier strengthens and inflammatory particles stop leaking into the bloodstream, the immune system can finally calm down instead of staying on constant alert. Sleep quality is another area where many people notice changes. Those who wake up frequently at night feel restless, or struggle with shallow sleep often find that feeding the gut during the repair window improves nervous system regulation. Deeper sleep isn't forced, it emerges naturally when inflammation and stress hormones decrease. However, results depend heavily on avoiding common mistakes. The most frequent mistake is using the wrong product. Potato flour is not the same as potato starch. Modified starch is not resistant starch. Instant or pre-cooked starch has already been heated and loses its resistance. Using the wrong form leads to disappointment because the mechanism simply doesn't activate. Another common mistake is heating the starch. Resistant starch only works when it remains intact. Adding it to hot liquids, cooking with it, or baking it destroys its structure. For health purposes, it must be mixed into cold water or another cold liquid. Heat changes everything. Taking too much too quickly is another issue. More does not equal better. Resistant starch works through fermentation, not absorption. Introducing large amounts too fast can overwhelm the gut microbiome, leading to gas or discomfort. This doesn't mean it's harmful, it means adaptation is happening too fast. Starting low and increasing slowly allows beneficial bacteria to grow without stress. This gentle approach leads to better long-term results and fewer side effects. The goal is not to force change, but to allow the gut ecosystem to rebalance naturally. Some people expect instant, dramatic effects. But resistant starch is not a stimulant. It doesn't spike energy or suppress appetite aggressively. Instead, it works quietly, influencing systems over days and weeks. Those subtle changes compound into noticeable improvements when consistency is maintained. Another important point is timing. While resistant starch can technically be taken at any time, nighttime use aligns best with your body's natural biology. During sleep, insulin is lower, growth hormone is higher, and repair pathways are active. Feeding gut bacteria during this window enhances overnight signaling. Daytime use can still be helpful, but nighttime use tends to produce more noticeable effects on sleep, morning energy, and appetite regulation. This is why so many people report waking up feeling lighter, clearer, and more stable after consistent nighttime use. It's also important to understand what resistant starch is not. It is not a laxative. It is not fiber in the traditional sense. It does not sweep the intestines or mechanically move waste. Its effects are biochemical, not mechanical, mediated through microbial metabolism. Because of this, hydration still matters. While resistant starch doesn't require excessive water, staying properly hydrated supports digestion and fermentation. Balanced hydration helps the gut environment remain stable and responsive. Another misconception is that resistant starch replaces healthy eating. It doesn't. It enhances metabolic signaling, but it cannot override a chronically inflammatory diet. Think of it as a support system one that amplifies the benefits of good habits rather than compensating for poor ones. Some people ask whether probiotics are necessary alongside resistant starch. While probiotics can help, they are not required. Resistant starch feeds the beneficial bacteria already present. In many cases, nourishing existing microbes is more effective than constantly introducing new ones. Over time, improved microbial balance often leads to better nutrient absorption, stronger immune signaling, and more efficient metabolism. These changes don't happen overnight, but once established, they tend to persist with continued support. Another subtle benefit many people notice is emotional stability. The gut-brain connection is powerful. When inflammation decreases and microbial signaling improves, mood often becomes more balanced. Anxiety levels may soften. Stress responses become less exaggerated. This calming effect isn't sedation, it's regulation. The nervous system shifts out of constant fight or flight and into a more adaptive state. Over time, this improves resilience, focus, and recovery from stress. It's also worth noting that resistant starch does not suppress appetite unnaturally. Instead, it improves satiety signaling. This helps people eat more intuitively, with fewer urges to snack late at night or chase energy dips during the day. People often report fewer cravings for sugar and refined carbohydrates. This isn't willpower, it's physiology. When blood sugar stabilizes and insulin sensitivity improves, cravings naturally decrease. Consistency matters more than perfection. Missing a night occasionally doesn't undo progress. What matters is repeated signaling over time. The gut microbiome responds to patterns, not isolated events. As beneficial bacteria populations grow, their metabolic output increases. More butyrate is produced. Gut lining integrity improves. Immune regulation stabilizes. These effects reinforce one another, creating a positive feedback loop. At this point, it should be clear that resistant starch is not a trend or a shortcut. It works because it aligns with human biology rather than fighting it. By feeding the gut microbiome instead of stimulating the nervous system, or manipulating blood sugar directly, it creates change from the inside out. This makes it one of the few interventions that can support multiple systems at once without overwhelming the body. For long-term use, simplicity matters. Resistant starch doesn't require cycling, loading phases, or complex protocols. A small nightly dose, taken consistently, is enough to maintain beneficial signaling. The body thrives on rhythm, and the gut microbiome responds best to predictable patterns rather than aggressive interventions. As weeks pass, many people notice that the benefits become more subtle but more stable. Instead of dramatic swings, there's a baseline improvement in digestion, energy, and mood. These changes often go unnoticed until the routine is interrupted, revealing just how much balance has been restored. One of the most valuable long-term effects is improved metabolic flexibility. This refers to your body's ability to switch between fuel sources efficiently. When insulin sensitivity improves and inflammation decreases, your body becomes better at using stored energy instead of constantly demanding quick glucose. This metabolic flexibility supports healthy aging. Chronic inflammation and insulin resistance accelerate aging at the cellular level. By reducing both, resistant starch helps slow down the processes that lead to fatigue, stiffness, cognitive decline, and metabolic dysfunction over time. Another benefit is improved recovery. Whether recovery from physical activity, stress, or poor sleep, a calmer immune system and a stronger gut barrier allow the body to repair itself more efficiently. Many people find they bounce back faster from strain than they used to. It's also important to understand who should be cautious. People with severe digestive disorders, active gut infections, or those who are highly sensitive to fermentation should proceed slowly or consult a healthcare professional. While resistant starch is generally well tolerated, individual responses always matter. Those with known small intestinal bacterial overgrowth may need to approach resistant starch carefully. Because it feeds bacteria, improper timing or dosing could cause discomfort. In such cases, addressing underlying gut balance first is often beneficial. Pregnant or breastfeeding individuals should also consult a qualified professional before making dietary changes. While resistant starch is a food-based substance, personalized guidance ensures safety and comfort during sensitive physiological periods. It's worth emphasizing that resistant starch is not meant to replace medical care. It doesn't diagnose, treat, or cure disease. Instead, it supports foundational processes that influence how the body responds to stress, inflammation, and metabolic demands. When integrated thoughtfully, resistant starch becomes part of a broader lifestyle approach. Adequate sleep, regular movement, balanced nutrition, and stress management all amplify its effects. These elements work synergistically, not in isolation. Many people find that once gut health improves, other healthy habits become easier to maintain. Cravings lessen. Energy stabilizes. Motivation increases. This creates a positive cycle where small changes reinforce one another instead of competing for attention. One of the most overlooked aspects of health is nervous system regulation. When inflammation decreases and gut-brain signaling improves, the body exits constant alert mode. This doesn't just improve sleep, it improves how you experience daily life. Calmer baseline nervous system activity supports better focus, emotional balance, and resilience. Over time, this reduces burnout and supports long-term mental clarity. These benefits often emerge quietly but profoundly, Another long-term benefit is improved immune balance. Instead of overreacting or underperforming, the immune system becomes more adaptive. This reduces unnecessary inflammation while maintaining effective defense. This balance is especially important in a world where chronic stress and environmental exposures challenge immune resilience daily. Supporting immune regulation through the gut is one of the most direct ways to maintain equilibrium. As with any health practice, awareness matters. Pay attention to how your body responds. Subtle improvements often signal that systems are rebalancing. Discomfort usually indicates the need to slow down, not stop entirely. The power of resistant starch lies in its simplicity. No hype, no extreme claims. Just a biological signal delivered at the right time. When the gut receives that signal consistently, the entire body responds. Nighttime use is especially effective because sleep is when the body listens most closely. During this window, repair mechanisms activate, hormones rebalance, and immune regulation resets. Feeding beneficial bacteria during this time supports that process naturally. Over time, many people describe feeling more aligned with their body. Energy flows more evenly. Digestion feels predictable. Sleep becomes restorative. These changes don't shout, but they last. Health isn't built through extremes. It's built through small, repeated signals that guide the body toward balance. Resistant starch is one of those signals, quiet, consistent, and deeply effective when used correctly. Sometimes the most powerful interventions are the ones that don't demand attention. They work in the background, allowing the body to do what it was designed to do. This is one of those tools. If this approach resonates, it opens the door to exploring how timing, gut health, and nervous system regulation intersect. These connections explain far more about health than calories or supplements alone. Understanding these principles allows you to make smarter choices, not through restriction, but through alignment with biology. And when the body feels supported, it responds with stability and resilience. As you move forward, remember that progress doesn't require perfection. Consistency, patience, and awareness are enough. Small nighttime signals can lead to meaningful, lasting change. This video is for educational purposes only and is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease. The information presented is not a substitute for professional medical advice. Always consult a qualified healthcare provider before making changes to your diet or health routine, especially if you have existing medical conditions, are pregnant, or are taking medications. Thank you for watching. If this video helped you understand your body a little better, make sure to support the channel. Your health is built one small decision at a time, and knowledge is the first step. Let me know what topic you'd like to see next, and until then, take care and be well.